what's going on, guys? It's me, Mr. Mac, here on a Tuesday for our Tuesday video lesson. So, pretty short today, guys. All I want to really do is to go over the worksheet that I gave you yesterday on spread. So, let's pull that up here. There we go. And there it was. So you had three sets of numbers that I wanted you guys to find the range and the interquartile range and the median. So the first one was pretty hard. So if you got the first one, you guys are awesome. But I'm going to go over this one with you. So it says listed below are the average annual income in thousands of individuals in 28 states. So here you got all their salaries, and I asked you what minimum and maximum values, what's the range, the median, and then the interquartile range. So first thing you guys had to do, and hopefully you guys remembered this, is you had to put these in order from smallest to biggest. So I already did that for you here. Let's take a look. Hang on, let me fix these windows, make them a little smaller. All right, that's better. So for this first one, I went ahead and put these in order from smallest to biggest. So the next question, the first question was, what is the minimum, what's the maximum value? Well, that's pretty easy. Once you put them in order, obviously the minimum value is right here, 37.3. Maximum value here, 75.9. Okay. The next question was, what was the next question? What's the range? All right, so the range is the distance from the smallest to the biggest. So in order to find the range, what we would have to do is subtract 75.9 minus 37.3, and that would give us the range from the smallest to biggest. So what do we got? 75.9 minus 37.3, 38.6. So our range would be 38.6. Next question was, what is the median? All right, so remember, the median is the number that splits the data into equal halves on the bottom half and on the top half. However, in this set of numbers, there's 28 different numbers or different data points. So there's not going to be one number that splits it evenly into smallest and largest. So if we count 14 numbers up, we start at the bottom and then we count up 14 numbers. And 14 and 15 are right here in between this yellow arrow right here. So it's in between these two numbers would be our median, because it separates it into 14 on the lower half and then 14 on the upper half. If there was an extra number, if there were 29, then this number would be the median, just this number by itself. Oops, put that back. Just this number here by itself would be the median, because then it separates everything into 14 above and 14 below. But since there's an even number, it has to be in between these two. So if you guys remember, and if you don't remember, I'll remind you, that if it's in between two numbers, you take the average. So you're going to add these two numbers together, 63.6 and 64.3. So 63.6 plus 64.3 is 127.9, and then you just divide by 2. So your average is going to be 63.95. I'm sorry, not your average, your median, the middle number. Okay? Now the interquartile range. So if you guys remember, I know it's a little bit smaller, but if you'll remember on our box plots that we did, okay, so I'm just going to kind of arbitrarily draw one here. We'll say that's the median there, and then it goes to here, and then it goes to here, right? So this number here was quartile number 1, and this number here was quartile number 3. And the interquartile range was the range from here to here, from quartile 1 to quartile 3. So in order to find the interquartile range, we got to find quartile 1 and quartile 3. Well, quartile 1 and quartile 3, if you'll remember from yesterday's video, is the median of the lower half of numbers and then the median of the upper half of numbers. So quartile 1 is going to be the median of the lower half of numbers. Now, on our number 1 here, we have 14 numbers in our lower half. So once again, the median is going to be between numbers 7 and 8, or the number 7 on the list and number 8 on the list. And I've gone ahead and drawn this red arrow in between these two numbers to show you where quartile 1 would be. Because if you see, you count the numbers on the left, I got 7, and then you count the numbers on the right, I have 7, up to this yellow line here. So it's going to be in between. So again, we're going to have to take the average. So 53.2 plus 55 is that, and we divide by 2, and we get 54.1. So our quartile 1 is 54.1. You know what? Let me make this box a little bit bigger for you guys. All right, there we go. It's a little bit bigger so you guys can see it, hopefully. All right, so quartile 1 was 54.1, and quartile 3 is the same thing, except we're looking for the median on the top half of numbers. So again, our top half of numbers, there's 14, which means that the median is going to be between the 7th and the 8th position of numbers, because that would give me 7 on the left and then 7 on the right. So here it's between 70.1 and 70.9. So again, we have to take our average. 70.1 plus 70.9 is 141 divided by 2, 70.5. So now I have both of my quartiles. What's the interquartile range? It's the distance between 54.1 and 70.5. So I just subtract 70.5 minus 54.1, 16.4. So my interquartile range for that first problem, 16.4. All right, and I think that was the last of the questions for that. So that one was kind of hard, only because, let me make sure we got it right, interquartile range, median range. Okay, good. So the reason that one was a little bit harder was because they were all even numbers. So we had to find the median was in between two numbers instead of just a number by itself. Let's take a look at the next one, because that one's a little bit easier and be easier to understand. So for the next problem that you guys had, I already have it up on the screen here. You had 1, 3, 3, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 7, 8, 9. And I asked you to find the range, the median, and the interquartile range. All right, so what do we have for the range? Well, our smallest number is 1, and our largest number is 9. So what is the distance between 1 and 9? Well, it's 8. 9 minus 1 is 8. So the range is 8 for that one. For the median, it's the center number. It's the number that divides our data set into equal halves. Well, if I look, there's 11 numbers here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 11 numbers. So there's going to be just a single number that separates evenly into two groups, which is that middle 6. I put it on the yellow arrow there. So that 6 is our median because it gives us 5 numbers on the left and then 5 numbers on the right. So it's not in between two numbers, it's an actual number itself. So that makes it a little bit easier. So our median is 6. Now, to find the interquartile range, we had to find Q1 and Q3 so that we know what it's in between. Well, quartile 1 is the median number of the lower half. So on the lower half, you have 1, 3, 3, 5, and 6. There's 5 numbers. So the center number is going to be that 3 by itself because it separates it to 2 on the left and 2 on the right. So again, it's not in between numbers. That makes it a little bit easier. So our quartile 1 is 3. And again, the same on the other side for quartile 3, 7, 7, 7, 8, 9. So the center number there is going to be 7. So what is my interquartile range now going to be? Well, it's the distance between quartile 1 and quartile 3. So how far is it from 3 to 7? 4. would be my interquartile range for that one. Okay. The next set of numbers, we had 10 numbers. So first, let's look at the range. Well, our lowest data point is 10, and our highest data point is 90. So the difference between 10 and 90 is 80. Our median, well, there's 10 numbers. So this time, our median is going to be in between two numbers. It's not going to be an actual number itself. So you can see the yellow arrow that I made there in the center separates it into 5 on the left and 5 on the right. So it's in between 30 and 50. So what do? We take the average. So you take 30 plus 50 and then divide by 2. 40. So my median would be 40. What's my Q1? Well, that's the median of the lower half of numbers. The lower half, there's 5. So that makes it easy because my median is a single number, 16. It's the one right in the center. Quartile 3, same thing. I've got 5 numbers, so the median is going to be the center number, which is 68. Now, what is my interquartile range for those? Well, it's 68 minus 16. 52. Because remember, I want to know the distance between here and here. Basically, how many steps are there between 16 and 68? Well, there's 52. That's your interquartile range. All right, the last one had a lot of numbers. I think there's 18 numbers there. So let's take a look at the range. We start at 1, and we go to 31. So my range is going to be 30. 31 minus 1 is 30. The median number, well, it looks like there are 18 numbers there, right? 4, 5, yeah, 18 numbers. So the median is going to fall between two numbers. So if I count up 9, 9 on the left, 9 on the right, the median is going to be that yellow arrow, which is in between 12 and 15. So I take the average. 12 plus 15 is 27, and we divide that by 2. 13.5. So my median, 13.5. Now I need the quartile 1 and quartile 3. So quartile 1 is the middle number of the lower half of numbers, and that is 7 exactly, because on the on each side there's 9, which is an odd number. So if it's an odd number, you're going to have exactly one number at the center of that. So in this case, it's 7. That divides the numbers into 4 on the left and 4 on the right. Same thing for quartile 3. I've got 9 numbers there. So the center of that would be 16. And now the interquartile range. What is the distance between 7 and 16? Well, that'd be 9. All right, so there you go, guys. Pretty simple. I think once you practice doing it a couple of times, it becomes a little bit easier. Just keep in mind what you have to do if the median is in between two numbers. You just take the average of those two. You add them both together and then divide by 2, and you should be good to go. Okay, remember that today, Tuesday, if you're watching this early, I'm going to be on Google Meet at 12 o'clock and then again at 2 o'clock. I'm going to leave a link in Google Classroom for Google Meet if you need to stop by. But remember, it's just for if you need some extra help. It's not mandatory, but if you want, you can pop in if you have any questions. As for your assignment tonight, there's no written assignment, no worksheet or anything. But what I do want you to do is watch the next video on Algebra Nation. And I believe it is, well, actually, you know what? Let's look together. I think it's called the empirical rule, but let's make sure. So let's go to Algebra Nation here. Loading. Come on. There we go. It is section 9, and it is topic 8, the empirical rule. So now we're getting into, once you watch it, you'll see it's about standard deviation. It's a pretty long video, regardless of what tutor that you choose. So even Amy, who tends to go the fastest, or Ashley, I'm sorry, who tends to go the fastest, it's 22 minutes for even the fast tutor to go through. So that's why I'm not going to give you any written work tonight. I just want you to watch that video, and then we're going to go over it a little bit tomorrow, try to explain the important parts. All right, guys? Be safe, be healthy. See you guys tomorrow. Have a great night.